What's up, Mech fans, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are returning once again to The Witch from Mercury to do a little bit of a different video. We're going to be doing a tier list ranking on all of the ships in the series, and no, I'm not talking about the spaceships, I'm talking about the relationships, the ones that people come up with online, but also the canon ones within the show. But before we do dive into that though, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below and let me know your favourite ship from The Witch from Mercury. I think everyone's probably going to have the same one. It's the most obvious one, but I'd love to hear them all down in the comment section below. And while you're there, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. You guys know the drill by now. We've got S, A, B, C, D, and F tier this time around, and kicking things off with Chuchu and Felsi. Now, this one I can kind of get behind as a ship, to be honest. There's an element of chemistry there. We all love a good, like, enemies to lovers kind of storyline, and I can see it. You know, would they ever have put them together in the show? Probably not, but there's an element of, like, I could see a plot line there. There's something there at least, and I do like their back and forth, and I think they bounce off each other very, very well. So I'm actually going to put this one into B tier. I think in terms of some of the ships that we have here, this is, I don't want to say it's one of the best, but it's definitely up there as one of the better ones. Next up, though, we've got Chuchu and Nika. This one I definitely get behind. I think that they have a great relationship, which is showcased more to be a friendship in the show, but you could easily go the route of making a relationship out of them, and they just have, like, you know, not only a really good friendship and relationship, but there's a longevity to them where they seem to have known each other for a long time, and yeah, I can just get behind this one for sure. You've got a great plot line going on with Chuchu and Nika with that element of forgiveness towards the end of the series, and if they went this route, I think it would have worked for the show. It wouldn't have felt like it was out of nowhere. So this one I'm actually going to go into A tier. I think it's a really, really good ship. Next up, we've got Lauda and Petra. Now, this is the canon one, so, like, yeah, I can get behind it because it happens in the show, it's built up and all this kind of stuff. I don't love Lauda as a character, I also don't love Petra as a character, so whilst the ship works, like, a lot better than most of these, simply because it is the canon ship, I just was never truly invested in it because I was never fully invested in all the characters. There's obvious love there. The fact that, you know, Lauda sticks around to, you know, help Petra through things and cares about her, I can respect all of those elements. So this one, I think, is going to go into B tier. I'll put it above Chuchu and Felsi simply because there is a real love that you feel between those two characters. Next up, though, we'll move on to Lilik and Renee. There's a reason why this is a ship, but there's really no chemistry there whatsoever. I mean, this ship basically comes about because Renee is really mad at Lilik and tagged in her because she spoke to someone that was, like, 6th on a potential list of boyfriends or something stupid like that. This was never going to be a relationship, let's face it. I think I'm going to have to put this one in F tier. There's nothing between these two characters other than a brief moment within one of the episodes that kind of serves as a little bit of a plot line with foreshadowing. I don't really know. Next up, though, we'll move on to miorine and Guel. This is a very interesting one because, on the one hand, it's incredibly toxic to start with, where you have Guel, who is just simply a very toxic individual. miorine just can't get behind this, you know, the dual stuff and basically being pined off as a wife for someone. So neither of them really want to be within kind of the relationship that they're in. But when you get kind of Guel's development and he matures a lot as a person, and then they come back together, on the one hand, it's not really like a loving relationship because it's there purely for business reasons and reasons of self-interest, but you can tell that Guel has more respect. You kind of get that vibe from their relationship towards the end of the series. So this one I'm actually going to throw into a solid B. I'm actually going to put it at the top, though. I think it's not a bad ship. If we weren't going to go for the canon one, this would probably be my second want, if you will. Next up, though, we move on to, what's this, miorine and Prospero. I'm sorry, this is straight up going in F tier, right at the bottom. This is a horrible ship. Like, who thought of this? I get it. They, you know, communicate a lot throughout the series. There's plot lines involving the two of them. Quite frankly, it's a bit pedophilic because miorine's, what, 17 years old, or she gets to 17 years old in the series? No. Absolutely not. F tier. Next up, though, we've got Elan 5 and Norea. This one I love, and it is really the canon ship, I guess, of the show. I think what's so great about it is the fact that these characters can relate to each other, but in a very tragic sense. Norea not necessarily relating to Elan to start with, but Elan sees kind of what he's been through within Norea. They've both been through trauma, tragedy. They've both been, you know, destroyed by the system ultimately, and there's such an element of tragedy, not only to the characters individually but their relationship, where you think, maybe there could be something there, and then Norea gets killed very tragically. I love this one. This one's actually going at the top of A to me. This is one of my favourites in the series. And still talking about Norea, we've got Sophie and Norea. On the one hand, great relationship, great friendship. It's a focal point of both of those characters, especially Norea when it comes to the set, like the back half of the series. You can tell there was such a great friendship there, but to me, it feels more like a sister relationship. There's no kind of, maybe there could be a certain element of romance to it. They could have gone down that route, but in terms of what we get, it feels much more like sisterly love as opposed to, romantic love. So this one, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put in C because, like I said, I really like them as that younger sister, big sister. But as far as shipping them goes in a relationship, I'm not feeling that one, to be honest. Next up, though, we've got Nuno and Ogella. This one, I can kind of see. I think there's good chemistry between them. They've got a good friendship. But I don't think it really ever hints towards anything romantic. And maybe that's just because it is more of an LGBTQ relationship and they generally stray away from it in the series, aside from the obvious one. So I'm not sure on this one. I think I'm going to put it in C, just behind Sophie and Norea. I think there's more of friendship there as opposed to relationship. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, I don't really know. Actually, we're going to put this one above, because I can see a relationship more than I can with Sophie and Norea. And then next up, we've got Prospera and Belmeria. All of the Prospera ships are terrible, and this one, once again, is not quite an F tier, but it's definitely a D tier. With these two characters, they don't really seem to like each other all that much. The only kind of relationship they have is that they can relate to something that they both went through. They essentially lost everything within the Vanadis incident, and that's what they can both relate to. Other than that, these two characters don't really like each other, I don't think. I don't see any sort of romantic love within there. Any ship with Prospera other than her actual husband just doesn't work for me, because a lot of her plotline revolves around the fact that she lost her husband and a lot of her family and a lot of her friends. So it doesn't really work to do anything else with that. Next up, though, we've got Sabina and Nika. This one, I see romantic tension there. When Sabina's kind of, fixing Nika up, you could potentially see a little bit of a spark there. Or I personally could anyway, and I wouldn't have been opposed to it, I think that there could have potentially been a decent relationship there with Sabina kind of trying to bring Nika over to Shadik's side. But it felt like a genuine kind of bringing someone over to another side. So I can see this one. It's not my favourite, but I think it's still pretty solid. So I'm actually going to put this one in B. Above Chuchu and Felsi, I think, but behind Lauda and Petra, because like I said, that's the kind of relationship. There is obvious romance there. Next up, we've got Cecilia and Martin. It's interesting because there's not really a sense of romance between them, but a lot of people love Cecilia because of this. There's an element to it. I don't want to dive too much into it, but you guys kind of know what I'm referring to, with like a specific element where it's going to work for a certain group of people. And for me personally, it does kind of work because of that as well. I do quite like that aspect. I don't know whether I can quite put it in B tier. There's a part of me that wants to, but at the same time, I don't think I can. So we are going to put it in C tier right at the top. Next up, though, we've got Cecilia and Ryuji. This one, to me, I don't think really works as a ship or a romantic relationship. They are essentially like co-workers. You could argue friends, but even then, you don't really see much kind of friendship between them. They are simply like co-workers, students, classmates, if you will, but I would relate them more to like a co-worker kind of relationship. So for me personally, I don't see any sort of romance here. I don't even see much friendship here. So unfortunately, this one's going to have to go in D. We are going to put it at the top of D though, because any prosperous ship is terrible. Next up though, we've got suletta and Elan 5. This one as a romantic one really doesn't work for me, but I do like certain aspects of their relationship, but not in a romantic sense whatsoever. I think the romantic aspects are bad. Especially with Elan just kind of coming across as a little bit creepy, really, when it comes to his interactions with Celeste early on. But in the last couple of episodes where, he finds himself a little bit more, he's not that same, like, kind of creepy, like, insanely outgoing person. You do feel like he's not completely there out of self-interest, so there's elements that kind of work, maybe, but like I said, as a romantic relationship, not so much. So this one, again, is going to go into C tier, but I think I'll put this about there. That's about right for me in terms of a ship. Next up, then, we've got Suletta and Sophie. If it's romantic in any way, it's purely one-sided on Sophie's part, but it's more of a big sister kind of relationship, as it's referred to in the episodes that they're both included in. And with Sophie, it's more of a an adoration or admiration for Suletta, though it turns out there's more of an admiration for Eric. So for me, as a ship, it doesn't really work. So this one, I think I'm going to go in D tier, about in the middle. Like I said, it's better than any Prospero relationship because those are all horrible. Automatically, just purely on that, it pretty much goes above. Next up though, we've got Suletta and Elan 4. Now, if we're going to go with Suletta ships, this one is my second favourite by far. There's romantic tension maybe there, and they could have gone that route, but of course Elan 4 does not last overly long in the series, but you can tell that Suletta in another life, if both of them had survived, well, Suletta does survive, but if Elan 4 had survived, there could have potentially been something there. So I think this is a really, really good one. And I'm actually going to put this one into A tier. I'm still putting these two over, but I thought that Elan 4 and Suletta, really good ship, and it works because it's kind of set up in the series. Next up, though, we've got Suletta and Guel. Again, this is more of a one-sided one. It starts out with them basically not really liking each other, or Guel not really liking Suletta, and then he kind of comes round to her, but it's more of an admiration for what she's capable of doing as opposed to like he actually loves her. It's a bit of a weird one, and like I said, it's one-sided. Suletta doesn't feel anything for Guel, and as we get further into the series, I think Guel just kind of accepts it and sees her more as a friend as opposed to anything romantic. So I think this one is going to be another C tier. I'm actually going to put this one above Suletta and Elan 5 though, so put it about there. Now I'm going to put it above Martin and Cecilia. Again, it's not my favourite though. And then last, but certainly not least, we saved the best for last here. We got Suletta and miorine. This one, of course, is S tier. I mean, it is the focal point of the series. It is very obviously romantic relationship. Despite what Bandai like to say, it's evident they're married by the end of the series. There's such great chemistry between them. They are the heart and soul of the series. Their relationship is at the forefront of Witch from Mercury, so it has to go in S tier. They have such great chemistry, they have so many great moments, and everyone fell in love with them. Let's face it, everyone loves these two characters. It is a Yuri show for a reason, and it's because of those two. There we have it though, that is my tier list, ranking every single ship within the Witch from Mercury. To go over them once again, S tier, we've got Suletta and miorine. A tier, we've got Elan 5 and Norea, Chuchu and Nika, and Elan 4 and Suletta. B tier, we've got miorine and Guel, Lauda and Petra, Sabina and Nika, and Chuchu and Felsi. C tier, we've got Suletta and Guel, Cecilia and Martin, Suletta and Elan 5, Nuno and Ogello, and Sophie and Norea. D tier, we've got Cecilia and Ruji, Suletta and Sophie, and Prospera and Belmeria. And then F tier, we've got Lilique and Renee, and miorine and Prospera. Before I get out there though, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. And head on down to the comment section below. Let me know if you want to see any more videos like this in the future. These kind of tier lists where it's a little bit different, where I'm ranking all of the ships within a certain Gundam show. I do have an idea to maybe do it with Gundam Seed, and then maybe Gundam Seed Destiny I'll do separately to that, because there's definitely ships in there, there's definitely things to talk about, and I think it'd be an interesting video. Thank you once again for tuning into Mecha Chat today, and I'll see you guys next time.